children. In my previous class, I have started gravitation chapter and also have explained the topics which are there in that gravitation chapter, and also I have explained the question paper pattern of 70 marks. At the same time, I said about the gravitation chapter where it is of 8 marks, how it has been distributed in the question paper. Okay, so today let me go for the lecture 2, in the gravitation. This is my lecture 2. Today's topic is Kepler's laws of planetary motion. Kepler's laws of planetary motion. And remember, under Kepler's laws, we come across, he has formulated them under 3 laws. You already are familiar. In the earlier lecture, you have observed earlier Copernicus explained the heliocentric model. After him, Galileo has already agreed the one. At the same time, the next one, Tycho Brahe given data, and all these data were collected by Kepler and he formulated in a simple 3 laws. Let me highlight what are those 3 laws. The first law, according to Kepler, first law, it is called Kepler's first law, also called law of orbit. Law of orbit. Similarly, he said second law, it is law of areas. The third law, law of period. So remember, he has formulated in C 3 laws. First law, also called law of orbit. Second law, it is also said to be law of areas. The third law, it is also said to be law of period. One more by name, also called as, it is harmonic law for this. So you come across in competitive exams by name harmonic law, where harmonic law is none other than Kepler's third law or maybe law of period. Okay, so these are the 3 laws which we come across under planetary motion. Okay, let me explain one by one. Let me first start the law of orbit. Okay, so today let me just explain first law of orbit, then let us go for the remaining laws. The first one, according to law of orbit, according to Kepler, he has explained the planets revolve around the sun. You can say all planets, let me explain, all planets revolve around the sun in an elliptical orbit with one, sun has one of the 4 sides, with sun at one of the 4 sides. So I said elliptical orbit, let me tell you what it is, but now just rewrite this. All planets revolve around the sun, in an elliptical orbit, at one of the 4 sides. I repeat once again, all planets revolve around the sun in an elliptical orbit at one of the 4 sides. So here remember elliptical orbit and one of the foci. At the same time I said at the sun, planets are revolving around the sun. So all this explains some of the concept. Let me tell you what it is. If I take an ellipse, this ellipse will be of like this. Just observe, it is an ellipse. This ellipse is nothing but it is of the egg shaped form. It is looking like egg shape. It is not a circle, it is an ellipse. So let me say this is going to be called ellipse. It is just looking like an egg shape. In this, I just draw a line exactly here. Let me name this as where it is P and this is A. Okay. This is called as the one called, let me for your reference, this is called major axis. Major axis. I just draw the line this where I name it as CD. This is called minor axis. It is called minor axis. Let me just select at the center the point is O. Okay. Now in this major axis we select 2 points. That is nothing but 2 points are there on this major axis. So one point is here, another point is here, where this point 1 is taken as focus F1. Focus 1. This is F2. Let me write this is F2. This is F1. I'll write F1 here. What is this F1 and F2 means? F1 and F2 are focuses. Focus. Okay. Now, among these 2 focus, at one of the point you can place the sun. Where let me say the sun is at F1, and here the planet is at this position. Let me say this is the one planet, and this planet is revolving around this sun. So according to him, all planets along with Earth, you can say the one planets will be revolving around the sun in elliptical orbit. What do you mean by orbit? Orbit is nothing but the path. You can say orbit is nothing but the path is said to be called as the path which is on this is said to be called as orbit. And since it is looking like an elliptical shape, so we call it as elliptical orbit. Okay. So very simple statement is, according to him, all planets revolve around the sun in an elliptical orbit at one of the foci. You may also observe here there are 2 focus on this, but you have placed the sun at F1. Why can't you place at F2? You are supposed to place anywhere among these 2. You need not restrict whether it is only at F1 or F2. Maybe anywhere you can place, but one of the foci is selected for the one to explain this law of orbit. Is it clear, everyone? So just remember F1 and F2 are 2 focus are there. You are can place anywhere the sun, maybe here or maybe here, either of the positions, either of F1 and F2. By using that, you can observe now the planets are revolving around us like this. Okay, so this is the statement, this is the explanation. But let me tell you one more point. Here I have selected the point P. This is point P, this is point A. For your convenience, I say P is called perihelion. P is called perihelion and A is called aphelion. What do you mean by perihelion means? Which is the point which is closest to the sun. You can say it is closest to the sun. Point which is closest to the sun. What is this aphelion? A point which is away from the sun. So farthest from the sun I can say point farthest from the sun. Farthest from the sun. So just now I said the points where P is said to be called perihelion, A is called aphelion. Along the major axis you observe this, and where P is called as perihelion because it is always nearer to the sun, nothing but closest to the sun, and this A is far away from the sun, hence we call it as the point farthest from the sun. Okay, now you have observed one figure and you have also observed here the points P, A, F1, F2, everything. Okay, and here I said the one major axis, minor axis. I can also explain one more point. According to you, if I select the point O here, center, from O to P, OP, or you can say it is one more point OA. This is said to be called as OP and OA are called semi-major axis. Major axis. Because I said from P to A is called as major axis. In that I have selected the point O and have divided from O to P, maybe from O to A, OP or OA is called as, maybe OP you can select or OA called as semi-major axis. One more point I can say here, from O to C or maybe from O to D, it is called semi-minor axis. Okay, just observe here in this figure. I have already said first earlier major axis, second time I said about minor axis. Again I have shown one more point now where it is from O to P or from O to A is called semi-major axis, and O to C O to D is called semi-minor axis. I said these because in my further class I am using the word major axis, semi-major axis, semi-minor axis. So you should be familiar about these two. So you can remember what is semi-major axis and semi-minor axis. Okay. Now one more point I want to say here. Just now I used one figure. I have explained this, the one law of orbit. I will explain by using one more figure the same law of orbit. Let me tell you what it is. Let me just erase this. I will use one more figure now. In that, how this elliptical orbit can be explained. Just observe, I said this is said to be an ellipse, in which let me select this is the one point. Let me take it as AB. Let me take this as CD. Okay. Now if this is the one point where the sun is placed, this is F1 point. Here one more point we can take. This is F2. So I have placed the sun at F1. Our planet, let me say our planet is at this position, maybe here. If I select the point here, that is the one point here. If I just draw the line from this point to this sun, where I call this as a radius vector, nothing but called as the one position vector, I can say, represented by R1. Similarly, I have selected this point here and I just draw the line from this point to this F2. Let me take this as R2. So I have taken the point anywhere on this orbit, and from the point I have drawn from this point to this F1, it is called as radius vector R1. Another point which is line joining the point F2, where it is represented as R2. This is the radius vector R2. Okay. So what you mean to say here means, here I mean to say R1 plus R2 always remains constant. This R1 plus R2 always remains constant. Okay. At the same time, if you are selecting different points on this ellipse, where let me select the point here from here. Let me just draw this is from point here to here is R1, and from here to here this is R2. Here also where from that point you can just draw the line from that point to focus F1, maybe to focus F2, where you represent by R1 and R2, but everywhere the one R1 plus R2 remains constant. So if I just always join all these points on this orbit, that forms an ellipse. That forms an ellipse. You know this in geometry, the ellipse. But at the same time, remember, if I join all the points on this orbit, the path followed by the orbit, where it forms an ellipse. So now in this figure you have observed what is the next point you have learned? You have learned the one R1 plus R2 always remains constant. Okay. One more point I want to say in this Kepler's law, where I just draw one more figure where I will explain another point. What is it? If I select the ellipse here, where in this I have taken the sun at this position and the one planet is here. Okay, the planet is at this position, and sun is at this position, and now our planet is revolving around the sun, where it explains law of orbit. And here the sun is at one of the foci. Okay, this is forming elliptical orbit. This is elliptical orbit. Who has explained this? This was explained by Kepler. Hence, according to Kepler, this is the one figure I have drawn, and where I have shown sun is at one of the foci and planet is revolving around the sun in an elliptical orbit. Okay. In my first lecture, I have explained Copernicus concept, where he also said the one sun-centered theory, where sun is at this position. Sun is at this position, planet is revolving around this. Here, this is said to be called as circular orbit. You need not say it is elliptical, it is circular orbit. What changes you observe in this? According to Kepler, he has used elliptical orbit. According to Copernicus, he has used circular orbit, right? But remember, in both the cases you observe sun-centered theory, where sun-centered theory is called as heliocentric theory. Also called it is heliocentric theory. So in both the cases, heliocentric theory favors in Kepler's law as well as in Copernicus model, where sun is at the center or the planets are revolving. But remember here, according to Kepler, he has used elliptical orbit, but according to Copernicus, he has used circular orbit. And this is explained for any one of the planet, and he did not say for further planets, but he has said only for one planet where it is moving in a circular orbit. What observation you observe here? If you forget to write elliptical orbit in this first law, totally the statement is wrong according to Kepler, because Kepler has given most importance to elliptical orbit. Because earlier days Copernicus said heliocentric model, again he has a circular orbit, he failed. Further developments took place and Kepler finally proved elliptical orbit. So be aware of this. Whenever you write a statement, this elliptical orbit should be very clear. Otherwise, if you just write all planets revolve around the sun in an orbit, it is totally wrong. And if you do not write this word, it is of no meaning of this statement. Is it clear? So elliptical orbit. And you feel what is the change in this? Remember, a circle is a special case of ellipse. What do you observe? Circle is a special case of ellipse means in an ellipse, I said these are the two focus. This is F1, this is F2 in ellipse. But in circle, it is the one center. That is center here. This is nothing but center here. If you observe, the one circle, what happens in the circle means these 2 points will merge together, they coincide together, and they fix to a single point. From there you can observe, from this point to this is taken as radius r. here, this radius is in the circular orbit. The same concept we explained, that is called as semi-major axis in the ellipse, where it is similar to radius is similar to semi-major axis in the ellipse. So please observe, there is a difference. 2 points are there in ellipse and only single point in circle. Circle is a special case of an ellipse in which these 2 points merge together. They coincide together and they form a single point. From single point towards the surface, you taken as, this is said to be called as radius, where this radius is similar to semi-major axis in the ellipse. So remember, here semi-major axis is similar to the one radius. Is it clear? So today I have explained just now only the one law of orbit, where in this law of orbit statement is very simple. There is no changes. All these explanations I have given because whatever the type of questions you expect under the law of orbit, maybe regarding the one heliocentric theory, maybe the elliptical orbit, maybe the foci, whatever the things you come across, or maybe R1 plus R2 remains constant. All these concepts are explained now. So be aware of this. This only the statement is all planets revolve around the sun in an elliptical orbit with sun at one of the foci. Okay. So here I have explained today just now the Copernicus model, again Kepler's model, and using this you can explain how the changes has been taken place, and according to him, Kepler, what changes he has observed from this. Many times you feel both are same. No, this is circle, this is elliptical, and sun-centered theory. Both are explaining sun-centered theory. But remember here, sun is at one of the foci in the ellipse, but here sun will be at the center. And this circular orbit he did not explain. This failed, due to which Kepler explained the one elliptical orbit. Hope you have understood all the points in this, where in this I have explained the one Kepler's first law. I said this Kepler's first law is also called as law of orbit. So you have every chance to get for 1 mark question, state Kepler's law, first law, or state law of orbit. Only statement for 1 mark, you have to explain only the statement, that is all planets revolve around the sun in an elliptical orbit. Is it clear? Okay, now let me go for the second law, where I just want to explain the second law. I think all are familiar about this. So be aware of this statement for 1 mark. Sometimes the same question for 2 marks if they ask, state and explain. You can just explain the same statement with this figure, in which always the planets revolve around the sun in an elliptical orbit by drawing the figure. By drawing the figure, you have to explain the explanations. Okay, right. Now let me go for the next one. Kepler's second law, it is also called as law of areas. Law of areas. So please be aware of that. Second law states the one regarding areas. According to him, he says the imaginary line drawn from the sun to the planet sweeps the equal areas in equal interval of time. Or you can also say the line joining from the sun towards the planet with the radius vector is always sweeps out equal areas in equal intervals of time. So you have to remember here, again you are using elliptical orbit. We are explaining this. Let me just write the statement. imaginary line, because we are drawing the line. So you can say the imaginary line drawn from the sun to the planet sweeps out equal areas in equal interval of time. So please, a very important concept. Many CET questions you expect here. Many questions from this objective type questions you expect here. So be aware of this law of areas. Statement is very simple. From this statement itself we derive the expression. We explain many concepts in this. So the imaginary line drawn from the sun to the planet sweeps out equal areas in equal intervals of time. What do you mean by this means, again I have to draw the figure which is an ellipse, and in this ellipse I have to select the one major axis. In this I have selected the point F1, maybe the point this is F2. Okay, but now for your reference F1 is enough for me. You already know there are 2 points, so I need not write F2 also. F1 is enough for me, so I need not write this. Is it clear? You already familiar this one. Let me just focus the one, place the sun at F1. Now the sun is at this position. If I say, if the sun is at this point, that is the one, sun is at this position, a planet is at this position, planet is revolving around the sun. You know, already familiar about this. Planet is revolving around the sun. So let me say this is the one point where this is for your reference. I just write this is the point. Let me say P1. Okay. Now after one day, let me say after one day, it has reached the point here. This is P2. After one day, the planet has reached the point here. Okay. Let me select if this is the one moving from here to here. If it is moving around this, in this case, direction, I can observe this is P1 to P2. Suppose, if I say the one point is P1, where it is the position vector is represented by R, and it has reached after one day the point P2. Okay. Now this has taken some time, where I can say this is delta t, because a small time interval. Remember, if it completes one complete ellipse, you would have taken t, but now I have taken a small portion, hence I write delta t. Is it clear? By chance, if the same planet is coming here, this is the one position here. Let me say this point is P2. After one day, it reaches here. This is P4. Now please observe, if I shade this portion here, this is the one portion, now like this. This is the one portion you can observe here. So I selected 4 points. Let me say the one, it is the velocity here like this. If I take this is V1, maybe this is V2, like this. If it is moving around this like this, right? Okay, right. Now what you observe from this, these 2 figures are not same, but they are looking like triangle, but they are not of same triangle. You feel here it is looking very large, here it is small. What you observe from this means, even according to the one Kepler, the imaginary line drawn from the sun to the planet sweeps out equal areas in equal interval of time. So whatever the time interval it is taken for this also remains same for this also, that is delta t. Here the one radius vector, this is r, that remains same. So here what does balances here means the area balances this. Nothing but the area balances both the conditions. Okay. So you observe here now the sun is at one of the four sides, planet is revolving around this. Earlier it has selected one point, again it has been shifted to another point. It has taken some time interval here and you have shaded this portion. Now it is looking like triangle here. Okay. Similarly, after some time, again the same planet comes here at point P3 and again you after one day you observe this is P4. Now you observe this, the one portion where it is for the next day, right here. So two figures you observe, but two figures are not same, both are slightly different. But you feel they are different. How can you say it is same? Let me show by the one explanation how you get this. Is it clear? So now from observing this figure, you can say the one r here and the delta t is the one time. The one I can explain how you can derive this figure. Okay, let me tell you. I just erase this and draw the derivation and write now the derivation. So please observe. One second law, Kepler's second law. In this figure, I select the one only this portion. Let me just draw. This is the one sun. Let me say this is R. Sun is at this position. This is the one point P1. This is the one point P2. What is this one? Time interval is delta t. For your reference, I select the one radius vector. Let radius vector and momentum vector, here this is R and this is P. I have selected the one radius vector and momentum vector in this. What do you observe from this means by using this, now it is looking like a shape of the triangle. I want to calculate the area of this triangle. So how to calculate area of this triangle means I can explain. This is the one area of triangle, that is area of this triangle, nothing but area of this triangle. Let me say this is the point O, P1, P2, that is O to P1, P2. Let me say P1, P2. You can observe it is just looking like a triangle. I write delta A is equal to area of the triangle will be written as delta A is equal to, as per the simple mathematics, you know area of the triangle is half base into height. So I just write half. What is the one base? That base is nothing but r. What is this height? Nothing but this is the one distance we have to calculate here. This is, but having done time, distance we want to calculate. But here it is given time. So you already know in the one earlier class where velocity is equal to displacement by time. Velocity is equal to displacement by time. Here I have taken small time interval where it is delta t. So where s is equal to v into delta t. So I want to write for the one distance from here to here. This is the one, the base, this is the one height you can say. So I write instead of the one height, I write it as v into delta t. Right? Now by looking to this, I can also write this is delta A by delta t is equal to R into V. But remember, you already know the one momentum. Just now I said I have taken the one momentum vector, that is P, where this P is called as linear momentum. You already know where P is equal to, that is where P by M. So I just write now substituting the one. Here these two are our radius and this one. Now I have to use position vector and the one radius vector and momentum vector. I write in terms of 1 by 2 here into R into, this is one called P by M, where I write the cross product, nothing but the vector products. Now I rewrite this as 1 by 2M into R cross. Now I have written in terms of vectors. I have written using vectors, right? Because you know vector means it has both magnitude and direction. We are explaining all the conditions here. So now R cross P. But remember at the same time, we also have the one concept like where L is equal to R cross P. What is this L means? This is called as angular momentum. Angular momentum. This is called angular momentum. Then what do you mean by this P? This P is called as linear momentum. What is the difference between this? Here remember, whenever you say linear momentum, you are explaining the one object which is moving in a straight line. But here, this angular momentum, our planet is revolving around in an elliptical orbit. So it is moving in a circular motion, where you can say it is angular momentum. Instead of linear momentum, it is not going straight, it is moving in a circular motion. Therefore, we take angular momentum here. Now, if I just replace this, where it is 1 by 2M into L, where it is rewritten as delta A by delta T, can be written as L by 2M. What is this L by 2M? Where this L is to be called as angular momentum. What is this delta A? The change in area with respect to time, where you can say rate of change of area, or you can also say aerial velocity. It is also called as aerial velocity. So aerial velocity is always equal to L by 2M. What is this L by 2M? L by 2M is always constant. Constant for any central force. Any central force. Now we have come across one more new word called as central force. What do you mean by central force? Remember, if I say the sun is at this position, sun, our planet is moving around this, it means our planet is here, right? It is moving in a circular, it is nothing but in the elliptical orbit, maybe circular orbit. You explain where here the planet is at this position, sun is here, sun is at rest, planet is moving around it. Therefore, if the line joining from the fixed point to the particle is called as central force. So please observe, the line joining the fixed point to the particle, whichever the particle you select, the fixed point to the particle is called as central force. So this L by 2M is always constant for any central force. Right? So just now we have done Kepler's laws of planetary motion, where in this we have observed the one aerial velocity always remains constant. At the same time, I said angular momentum here. Therefore, this Kepler's second law explains angular momentum is conserved. Angular momentum is conserved. One point. Second point, now we have learned just now the word central force. Central force. This point you have learned. Now you have observed here where delta A by delta T is equal to L by 2M. So these points you observed just now, L by 2M. Where you can also write where L is equal to 2M into delta A by delta T. So just now we have learned the one Kepler's second law by using this figure, where we have observed the aerial velocity always remains constant. By learning these things, we have also observed these are the one the need points you can observe here, and these neat points explains the Kepler's second law, in which it explains angular momentum is conserved. It also explains the one central force. At the same time, aerial velocity always remains constant. One more point I want to say here from this figure. One more point I let me explain here. If I select this figure in which the sun is at this position, this is P, this is AIZ. Now our planet is moving like this. The planet is moving around like this. Okay. So here angular momentum is conserved, I said. Here is the planet, I can say. If I explain this is the velocity V, here this is, let me say for a reference it is V1, this is V2, and this radius vector I can say this is nothing but from here to here where it is from sun to the planet. Here this is one R vector you can say. By just using this, if I say the one planet is having mass m, this planet is having mass m, and the one radius vector is r and velocity is v. For selecting two positions, I can say when L1 is equal to L2. What do you mean by L1? Angular momentum at this position is constant. Angular momentum here also constant. Angular momentum is conserved. Now if I use this condition, I can say the same planet, it is changing the position. So I write m remains constant. M1, m, V1, R1. Here it is m, V2, R. If this is L2, this is L1, I can take like this. Now this m and m gets cancelled. You can say V1 R1 is equal to V2 R. By just observing this, where you can say V1 by V2 is equal to R2 by R1. What do you observe from this? Where velocity is inversely proportional to the one radius vector. What does it explains? As the radius is less, velocity is more. As the radius is more, velocity is less. So if I say this is the position in which radius is less, so velocity is more. From here to here the radius is more. Because of that velocity is less. So due to which whenever the one planet is near the perihelion, at perihelion where the radius is less, velocity is more. So velocity is maximum. Velocity is maximum at perihelion. If I select the aphelion, at aphelion where velocity is minimum. What do you observe from here? Perihelion, radius is less, velocity is maximum. Due to which you can say velocity is maximum, but here velocity is minimum. So by looking to this, where you can say velocity is inversely proportional to radius vector. Okay, so this explains one more concept where the fourth point, V is proportional to 1 by R. Depending on this, you will explain perihelion and also aphelion, what happens to velocity. Right? So Kepler's second law, we have observed these conditions today. So you just go through the things clearly. In my next lecture, I will repeat once again. I will just recall all the points. At the same time, you can remember one by one. Okay. So just I will repeat once again. This Kepler's second law, also called as the one law of areas. Here it has explained about the imaginary line drawn from center of the sun to the planet sweeps out equal areas in equal interval of time. That we have referred this figure to explain this. At the same time, we have proved where delta A by delta T remains constant, where this is nothing but for any central force. By taking the help of figure, using all these concepts, I have shown this. Next point, the same concept I will explain using angular momentum is conserved. I can explain V is inversely proportional to R. Therefore, I can say depending on radius, velocity changes at aphelion and perihelion. Okay. This central force I said is a line joining from sun to the planet, where the sun is at fixed point, planet is revolving. So from the fixed point to the particle, a line joining from fixed point to the particle is called central force. Okay, thank you. So today let me complete this. Tomorrow let us go for the next part. Before going to that, I'll just recall, you go through the things very clearly. And this second law is very important both for objective type and theoretical concept, and also explain Kepler's second law, and you have to show this condition. Sometimes you expect for 2 marks. Thank you very much.